Welcome on in, my Ashwings, to another installment of the Commoner A to Z series for the high seas, or well, the Mastery Pack Guardian meta. So we did switch formats, or not formats, we switched new set releases in the midst of all this, so I think everything moving forward is just going to be Mastery Pack Guardian, so that way you know kind of what season we're in. But I hope to have all of these done before Super Slam does a lot of stuff, so we'll see how quickly we get through all that. But now with these new release of the Mastery Pack Guardian, we actually got a new Guardian. Believe it or not, Bravo is now entering into the Commoner meta. Wait a minute. Bravo? The same Bravo? No, different Bravo, right? Obviously, this Bravo is Bravo Flattering Showman. A little bit more flair. This is actually a hero that you can get by buying, or not buying, by going to your LGS and getting a demo deck. You can actually get Bravo Flattering Showman here. And the crazy thing here is that it's almost exactly like Bravo, except with a little bit more work. Initially, as we know, if you wanted to see what Bravo looked like, you can go check out that the previous video that we did here in the series. But this Bravo, you pay 2 resources and tap your hero, and then you turn a face down card in your arsenal face up. If it has Crush, it gains +2 and Dominate this turn. Go again. So instead of you giving your card Dominate, instead it gives it +2 and Dominate, but only if it is a Crush card and only if it's in your arsenal. So a little bit more setup necessary for this hero, but you are still presenting the same kind of flair. In this situation, you pretty much just want to make sure that you're putting something in arsenal and then waiting for your opponent to, put down their guard. You keep 2 blues in hand, and then you send the thing, right? So same deal as Bravo, except this time you are going to want to make sure that it has to be in the arsenal, and notably has to be face down for it to be flipped, right? So let's go ahead and go into the suite. Pretty much the same as our Bravo suite that we saw previously. We've got Titan's Fist, Steel Braid, Richter Scale, Helm of Ison's Peak, Civic Steps, except I'm not playing Goliath Gauntlet. Blade Beckoner is just fine. Frankly, we want to block a little bit more in this deck, just because we want to keep a card in arsenal and we want to just preserve our life in our hand. So I'm making this a pretty heavy block build, but overall, nothing different. The only difference is if you really want to play Goliath Gauntlet instead, entirely necessary at all. Then, of course, we do have the main suite here, pretty much a bunch of Crush cards, because you're going to want Crush cards. That's what Dominate is, or that's what Bravo is looking for in this situation. You'll notice that throughout this entire list, there are no Thunderquakes. I've been really high on Thunderquake in these new decks, but frankly, it's not going to work here because it doesn't have Crush, and so we can't give it Dominate if it is not in the, if it's not a Crush card and it's not face down or flipped or whatever. Thunderquake is kind of the opposite of what Bravo wants to do. But let's be honest, if you are ending up playing anything in here, you could probably play a red Thunderquake instead of a, red Disable, for instance, and you can still send 10 damage at your opponent. So not the end of the world there. But we are running the 4 copies of Buckling Blow, 4 of Cartilage Crush, 4 Chokeslam. We're running 4 Crash and Bash, the red and the blue. The reason being is because we are playing a bunch of cards with Crush in our deck. And so because we are doing that, we get to utilize a bunch of seismic information here. Block 2 is also good if we're going against Ira for Kadachis. And then we just get to get pure value off of the additional Seismic Surge tokens. Crush Confidence, pretty good. Crush the Weak, Debilitate, 1 copy of Red Disable in just the red. So it's technically 2 copies, but in the red. This is just because since we're making things like Seismic Surge tokens, or like if we have the ability to, again, keep something like even 3 blues in our hand during a turn, we get to utilize something like Disable here for 11 Dominate. Pretty good. Grind them down. Again, if this hits, it's going to get the Crush ability on it. And notably, with Bravo's ability giving things +2, Grind Them Down blue also turns into a 7, right? So that makes it even harder for them to need to block that. And so this isn't a bad target to put in there either. Sink Below to protect us a little bit. Battlefront Bastion, is mainly just for protection purposes. It's not a crush card. You're pretty much just going to be pitching it, or if you need to prevent a point of damage somewhere, you can block out that there too. And then Macho Grande, because it's a great game ender card. We take a look here. We have 2 copies of Oasis Respite in the sideboard, mainly for wizards, or really if anybody is doing any kind of weird like damage prevent or damage dealing shenanigans on a different axis, we can utilize that. And then we also just have our AB3 suite and Anathos to give us a little bit more damage on those turns. So in that situation, it is pretty good. At least I think it turns out to be a pretty good deck. But let's go ahead and see what the commoner meta has for us in store when we take this into Talishar. All right. Looks like our first opponent is Icelander, so that's pretty good. Let's go ahead and see here whether or not we're going to want to keep... I guess this is a situation where we're probably still going to want to keep these. Maybe AB2 might be better here. There's a world in which I want to keep the boots because they're not going to be able to use the Quicken token, really. But we'll see here. We could also send Anathos for more damage. So I think that's what we're going to do. I'm going to put these in and I'm going to take these out, and I think we'll be in an okay spot to go ahead and send it. So let's see what Icelander can do here. Again, only running AB2. In some situations, you want to run AB3, but into Icelander, she's not going to be able to send as much arcane damage at me. So it's pretty much just making sure that we're blocking out where we can. I will AB2. I will do it on that. Cool. All right. So notably, this hand's going to be a little awkward just because we want to be able to send damage, but notably, we need to get a crush card in here. So I think we're going to get this into our arsenal. So in order to do that, we are going to... Could get this in our arsenal too. Chokeslam for 8's not terrible. Or Crush Confidence for 7. I think we just need to send damage. So I'm going to... Because this is at least disruption they're going to want to block. And the best part is we're only really sending one thing at them. So if they have the ability to play something at instant speed here, like a blue, they very well can. It's probably not going to be anything that's going to actually hurt us. So, okay, so they're going to get the crush ability. They do have a sink below. That's fine. All right. And I think, you know what? We are going to put the choke slam down here just in case. So, okay. So still a situation where we want to keep 2 blues. There's a Wounded Bull. I think I'll just comfortably send 6 here. Now, the real question here is, am I going to get to utilize my ability? Which is going to feel real bad, but we'll see whether or not they do. Okay, so they are going to give me a Frostbite, which is fine, because notably, it just means that we can't do much else here. So, so we need 2 additional resources here. So I'm actually just going to... That is kind of a feels bad, not going to lie. That sucks. Oh, well. We'll just go ahead and do this instead, since I don't really care to keep that all. Okay. Disable. We've got an Aether Ice Vein coming in. We're going to pretty much try and deal just 1 piece of arcane damage. And then, so we're going to AB1. Yeah, we are going to AB1. And then pay the 2. So now we have 2 float here. Now, notably, we can't really do Bravo here. I think I'm fine just leaving this here. I don't even care anymore. I think we will just do that instead. I think I'd much rather just try to send damage. This might actually be the turn or the game in which I don't want to this might be the game in which I don't want to actually use Bravo's ability, just strictly because it gives them an opening to react. And it's not terrible that happens, but so Disable's going to come in. They need to block 5. They need to block 6. They need to block 6 here, or they lose their arsenal. If it's a card that they're actually looking to play at instant speed, they can do that. They don't need to worry about anything else here. Notably, we are pretty face up in regards to this here, so I do wish I had blocked with my chess piece there. Just kind of assuming I would have done it there. I do think we can still eke it out. This might actually even be a something in which like Oasis Respite is going to be really good for us. So I'm going to block. I was like, that blocks 7, I think. Okay, there's a Frosting. Icelander. Okay. Yeah, I'll EB1. Sure. Now, notably, I guess they are lower life than me, so very well could experience something else. Is a tuna. Yep. Final Spinning Spirit. That's fine. We'll give them this, and we'll give them. We want to get this Chokeslam out of the arsenal here, so I think we're gonna do that. I think we're gonna. I'll put myself just 1 tick lower than them. And then I'll just comfortably send 6. So it's fine that we do that. Again, we don't really want to give them an opening to react to this. There might be a turn in which we catch them off guard, but I think there might even be a world in which we fatigue them. We do have Oasis Respites in the deck. So worst case scenario, we can take some damage, go down a little bit, and then do some work. Okay, there's a Crucible. Interesting. Aether Ice Vein. Okay. I mean, I AB1 or I have to discard it, right? So that's fine. Okay, so they're still going to take 4. So they're still going to get crushed here. Ah, Sink Below. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty good. Well, notably, again, we haven't run into our Oasis Respites yet. So odds are we're in a pretty okay spot here. I'm going to do that. Look at that. Both right next to each other. Who would have thought? I'm going to, yeah, they're going to pass. Okay. I think there's a world in which I maybe just send. I think I'm also going to pass here. I know it's going to seem crazy because they're going to want to play something, but put that here. Do you get a yellow or a blue? So this is the one time where we're probably going to have like a lot of value off of these Oasis Respites. So I think that's what I'm going to try and utilize here is catch them off guard, have them play on their own turn. Sirens of Safe Harbor. Okay, so they're going to gain a life. And notably, I actually get to get a Seismic Surge token. That comes in. That only cost me 2 now. Okay, they're going to gain a life. It's fine. All right, so notably, we can pay 2 here and then pay 2 into this. Again, if they give me a frostbite, if they give me 1 frostbite token, right, this is pay 2. This is going to cost 2. So we need 4 resources. We have 5 in hand. I think we need to just send the damage. So we're just going to ship the bill here. And we're going to have 1 float for in case they do a thing for us. So. Okay, pitch a blue. Okay. They're blocking 6 total. Yep, okay. That's totally fine. I will put one of these in Arsenal, and I will hopefully draw some blues. End turn. Okay. I will send... I'm going to send an Anathos. For 6. We're going to try and fatigue them now. That is our goal. Is we are going to try and fatigue them now. There is a fate foreseen. Okay, cool. It's all about the pivot. It's all about the pivot. All right. That there. We got a blue. They also have no arsenal, so they can't send anything crazy. They have gone through a Wounded Bull and a Findle's Fighting Spirit already. Probably going to send an Aether Vein for 4. Okay, they're revealing a Winter's Bite. Oh shit, you know what? Hold on, sorry. That's what I thought. That's what I need to do. I then need to pitch this Debilitate. Aether Ice Vein. It's a good block too. Blocks the whole thing. So we love to see it. This might even be a situation where I do Anathos again. Keep one float. I do think this might just be the move here. They're pretty much out of armor. They're not going to be able to send more than 1 arcane spell at me a turn. They do have a quicken token, so I think they're trying to like set up a little bit more of a turn here, I think, but we have a lot more cards than they do, so. All right, and I will just simply pass. So yeah, sending 6 is fine. Again, we're not really threatening Crush if they are on a bunch of other shit, so. Okay, block 4. I might even block 9 here. I'll block 7. So it eats up that turn. Again, we can probably eke them down a little bit here again, but I think I just want to send... I guess we could have sent that for... Never mind. I don't know. I could have sent 7 instead of 6. I had the Seismic Surge token. You live and you learn. It's fine. Okay, they're at 1 life less. I guess they're up to 8 now. Passing. What? All right, all blues. Good hand. Good hand to have all blues, gotta say. I will pay, sure. We'll pay with a Buckling Blow. Okay, so this is gonna come in for 5. Oh, son of a bitch. I forgot. I'm sorry. Sorry. I keep forgetting that. Keep forgetting that I have to do it during this instead of before they trigger the thing. That's my bad. Everybody gets to learn now. Damage from Oasis here. I will pay the 1. Cool. And then I will go ahead and I will simply ship out this Chokeslam for 6. Well, I guess we can keep this in Arsenal too. So I don't know how many more ice cards they have going on, but I think we're... Okay, AB3. Uh, 4 damage. That's a lot. I'll AB2. Sure. Pitch a Cartilage Crush. Send 6. Okay, they're going to take 6. I'm assuming they're going to send 7 at me. Either Ice Vein. Okay. This might be a world in which we get AB1. Pay 2, yes. Then we'll see what we can do, I guess. Bop. I mean, they probably saved up all their snapbacks for this turn, so. They're out of, I think, nearly every one of their Aether. They're out of every copy of Aether Ice Vein, I think, except for a yellow. So they could still Aether Ice Vein me for 4, which would certainly kill me, right? Brings me down to 1. All right, let's see. That's for 4. That's for 5. That does kill me, I'm pretty sure. So could be incorrect. Yeah, I'm going to AB2. And that'll kill me. Good game. So there we go. We learned our lesson. AB3 is what we should be bringing into Icelander. They can still present a lot of this damage here. You know, I definitely sat there and thought, okay, well, Icelander certainly is not going to be in a very clean spot. But turns out AB3 definitely still the move. You should definitely still AB3, especially when you are winning here, because By AB3, right? Let's just like assume if we had AB3 here, they had an Arctic Incarceration and Arsenal. If I had AB3, to block out this, I'd take 2 damage, right? They wouldn't be able to follow it up with anything. And then my turn could easily be Bravo. They activate Arctic Incarceration, create 2 Frostbites. I'd have 1 float, and then I'd be able to send. This would cost me 6, so I'd have 3, 5. So I wouldn't be able to send that there. I would be able to send this though. I think 2 Frostbites. No, this would cost 5, so I'd have to pay. I just Anathos effectively. But I don't know that I'd be able to Anathos either, which is fine. If we get blown out like that, we get blown out like that. They didn't have too much left. They did have that Aether Ice Vein in there coming up, so that was a thing. And they were still on 1 Fate Foreseen. So good to see that Icelander still got it. Still able to work that around. But again, don't forget, AB3 into Wizards. Let's check out the next one. All right. Looks like our next game is into a chain. Let's go ahead and see what are we going to bring in here. Probably No Rune Boots, if I were to guess. And then we'll just go ahead and kind of keep everything here. I think we have enough blues to care with, to care about sending this here. We probably don't need Oasis Respite. So we're going to go ahead and keep it going. And again, Chain is going to be really interesting because with Chain's ability, being able to just kind of give things a go again, they're probably either going to be pitch stacking for a very large turn in which they send, 14 plus damage at me, or they're going to be sending Rune Gate cards, such like Phantom Banshee and Phantom Wraith, and that might be exactly what we end up seeing here, depending on the build. So starting off already, we see a Phantom Banshee, an Ebonfold, and Putrid Stirrings. So this leads me to believe that they are going to try and get another card. They need an attack action card to Rune Gate this turn, so I don't know how they're going to get another Rune Gate card in there, but maybe it's just to put it into the Banish Zone to set them up. They are going to play an Oath of Arknight to get a Rune Chant, and then putting something in Arsenal, and they Deadwood Dirged. Okay. I mean, I guess, yeah, that's a hand, all right. I will just very casually, I think, send 8 here. Yeah, I think that's going to be probably better. I think we're just going to send 8. I'll keep the Buckling Blow in Arsenal here. They don't have any blocking potential on their armor. And notably, if they don't want to get crushed here, they're going to have to block 4, which is going to be really hard for them to do. So they're going to have to give me at least 2 cards, which is great. And then I'm going to put this in Arsenal. So we've got a bunch of blues. Notably, Guardian's tactic into a deck like this is pretty much just block them out. Eventually, their Soul Shackles will just not work. It looks like they did get a Phantom Banshee into the Banish Zone from their Soul Shackle, which is just insane for them. So really, really good. And then they can send the Phantom Banshee. And the downfall of this is that I don't get to see when they pop the Rune Hold for another chant. That's right. So this is a world in which this Phantom Banshee is coming in for a lot. I think I'm actually just going to skip all the chants, take 3. Because there's no real trade-off there. And then sending 12. I don't mind blocking. I mean, theoretically, we have Buckling Blow that we're sending for 10 Dominate if we keep 2 blues. So I could just block 6, 8, 9. There's a world in which I maybe want to keep a little bit more, but they have no real on hits. So I'll give them armor. It's fine. I'll take 1 point of damage. So all that set up for 1 point of damage, and they took that Blood Debt on last turn. Pretty good for us. We're just going to pitch this, and then we're going to send this for 10 Dominate. Its crush effect is nothing, but 10 damage is 10 damage, and notably, if they take it, they go down to 6, which means that I just need to block out their turn effectively and kind of win. They don't seem to be doing a whole lot in regards to the World of Arcane, but all right, again, all of our stuff blocks for 3. We got a blue in here. Should they be wanting to send some stuff? And our life total is just really good. Even if our turn is just send 7 here, it's insanely powerful. It looks like they're just going to pitch to send 7 go again. That's probably going to be followed up with this if I were to guess. I think I'll just block 6 here. And then they ended up getting a Sink Below off the top from their Soul Shackle, so that's kind of cool. The Deadwood Dirging, get 3 chance. Setting up for next turn. Okay, so our turn is very much so just send Crush Confidence. Again, if they give us cards from their hand, it's pretty good for us because they need like most of their cards to send a pretty big attack. And all we're really trying to do here is just block out. Crash and Bash is the only 2 block in the deck. Not a terrible 2 block though. It will get us a Seismic Surge token, have this coming for 3. So that way we can go ahead and keep a 2 card thing. Let's see. So we have 2 chance coming in 4 damage. I think I'm going to skip the chance. I'm going to block. I think I'll block 4 here. I will go ahead and show them the blue Choke Slam. Take 1. And notably, what we can do is we can set up on this turn also. If we're really trying to get like crazy with it, we can just set up. But I think we have to really keep them on the back foot here. Okay, they pop Snapdragon Scalers to do that. Make a resource, send that. They did do arcane damage. It played card from your Banished Zone this turn, it gets +2, so that's not going to do anything. So we'll skip the chance. Maybe it will. 1, and then if I take 2, go down to 6. Nah, they're going to want to keep cards in their hand. I'll go into 5, yeah. Just take 8. So again, they have to block more than 8 or more than 4 here. It looks like they're on Sink Belows, so they very well could have sinks. They no longer are on Soul Shackles, so we're not on a timed thing here anymore, which is good, notably, but also with no way to get cards into the Banish Zone and then playing a very specific route, it's going to be bad for them. We're also out of Deadwood Dirge Reds, so we're probably not going to see that anymore. We'll give them this, and then we will pass. And then I will do this, and I will put this to the bottom. Perfect. All right, send 1. Again, we'd have to send. I'm fine taking 2 here, because I can send this. And they have to give me 3 cards now, which is going to make their turn even worse. There are worlds in which I probably can just full block, put something in Arsenal, wait for it. I think that's the better move to do in most situations here, but at the end of the day, wow, the ending of their Sink Below is crazy. Send 5. Okay, so let's just block 6 here. I think it's probably right. We need to close this up. I just need to send some kind of damage at them and then Arsenal this. Doesn't make any sense for me to keep pushing through this, especially if they're going to give me their whole hand anyway. I'd much rather just close out the game, put something in here, and then wait it out. Because they're still going to have to give me 2 cards for this, which is awesome. We know they don't have another Sink Below. It doesn't look like they're on Fate for Scenes. They have a blue Deadwood Dirge. Not a blue, I'm sorry, a yellow Deadwood Dirge. Their 2 red Dirges are gone. They're pretty much out of Read the Runes. So, yeah. They haven't gotten a single hit off their Soul Shackles. Okay, for 6. I think there's a world in which I just block. I block 4. There's nothing in reaction phases that could kill me, from what I recall. So we're just going to do that. I will reveal a Buckling Blow. And I will just block 3 here. Okay. Bravo ability, pitch, send 9 dominate. And that's going to win us the game. Good game. All right. And so that is Chain pretty much there. So let's go ahead and do a quick overview of the matchups itself and talk about how I feel about the deck entirely in a little recap here. All right. So with Bravo, Flattering, Showman, or Flavo, as I've called him, or Flavo, however you want to do it, I think that it's very good for a setup deck. I do think that your key turns are just going to be, as showcased in that last Chain match, I very well could have just taken no damage on turns, put a Crush card in Arsenal, and then just waited until my opponent had, given me the opportunity to give 2 blues in hand, and then I take that risk. But I was poking myself down a lot more and taking a lot more damage over the course of that game, just strictly because I was hoping to just kind of catch them on a turn in which we slowly whittle down their health. Unfortunately, though, not really anything that is super... the dominate is really what we want to keep doing here, and especially the +2 dominate. So at that point, we really want to make sure that that is our main focus into matches like that, is if they give us an opening to Arsenal a card and then pass, if we can block 9 or even 10 very casually, it is important then that we make sure to put a Crush card, a red Crush card in Arsenal, and then push through their defenses next turn. Because they won't be able to defend like that. They have no armor, nothing like that. So with that being said, the deck did pretty well, I would say. Definitely a lot of defense value over the course of the game here. Blues felt good. Even on my all red hands, I still felt like it was a pretty good, test of me being able to block out damage and send disruption. That's kind of the perk of everything having a 3 block or pseudo 3 block, or also a sink below. So I do think that they're pretty good. I do think Crash and Bash, again, gets a pretty good accolade here just by being able to say, hey, that, you almost are going to have the resources, but to be able to block 4 and also then say, I'm going to have the resources to send this for sure. This just helps you discount stuff. And a Guardian block 4, you can't really be mad at. So definitely not a bad one to pick. Notably, it might even be a card that I plan to run in Oldham if we're going to be doing some hyper blocking situations there. But not terrible. I don't know that Oldham really needs it. I definitely think it's more so for any of the Guardians that care about Seismic Surge tokens. So that is the deck. Let me know what you all thought about the deck in the comments down below, and happy to know we were able to take some W's today and go about showcasing the new Guardian to the format, one of the new Guardians to the format, Bravo. We do have quite a while before we get to the new Guardian that entered the fray, with Valda being at the V section of everything. So stay tuned. If you want to see a Valda commoner deck, make sure to go ahead and stick around. You can like today's video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and then make sure to go ahead and continue to have fun in the flesh and blood. And I will see all of you beautiful, beautiful Ashwings in our next installment of A to Z, the Commoner series.